We are used to living under the effect of gravity. We don't even think about it, but this force can be an important factor in our lives. In order for us to stay on the planet Earth, there needs to be enough gravity to keep us pressed to its surface. If that didn't happen, we would float into outer space. But what if one day we lost gravity for 10 seconds? What would the consequences of such an event be? Let's find out. If Earth suddenly lost its gravitational pull for 10 seconds, it would cause massive destruction and trigger global chaos. The effects of this phenomenon would go beyond our planet, extending to other celestial bodies and possibly affecting the entire solar system. To better understand the implications of such an event, let's break down the causes and consequences of losing gravity. The primary reason why we experience gravity is due to the mass of the Earth. According to Newton's law of universal gravitation, every object in the universe attracts every other object with a force that is proportional to their masses, and inversely, proportional to the square of the distance between their centers. This means that the Earth's large mass creates a strong gravitational pull, keeping us firmly on the ground. However, the Earth is not the only celestial body with mass. All objects, including us, have some gravitational pull. The difference is that the Earth's mass is so much greater than ours that its gravitational force dominates, and we don't notice the gravitational pull of other objects. But what if the Earth suddenly lost most of its mass without changing its size? In other words, what if it became hollow for 10 seconds? In this scenario, the gravitational force of the Earth would decrease dramatically, and we would experience weightlessness during that time period. According to calculations by experts, if the Earth were to become hollow for 10 seconds, the gravitational force would decrease by about 90%. This means that people and objects would no longer be firmly attached to the ground, but would start to float. In fact, the Earth could no longer hold on to its atmosphere, and everything would be sucked into space. Such a change could occur due to various factors, such as a massive explosion or the collision of the Earth with another celestial body. However, even if gravity disappeared for just 10 seconds, it would cause significant damage to human society. The first thing we would feel is a sudden lightness, as if we were inside an elevator that had malfunctioned and was no longer holding our weight. At first, people would be confused and amused by this unusual sensation. However, this feeling would quickly turn into panic when they realized that it was impossible to move their limbs and they were completely paralyzed. Even if someone managed to stay calm in this situation, they wouldn't be able to do anything. All electronics would stop working due to the loss of gravity. Phones, computers, cars, airplanes, all of them would be affected and become useless. The only way to function in this world would be to move like astronauts in space using special equipment. But the problem is that not everyone has such equipment, especially since no one could have predicted this sudden change. The consequences of losing gravity would go beyond our planet, affecting other celestial bodies in the solar system. Without gravity, the moon would drift away from Earth, and other planets would move out of their orbits due to the lack of gravitational force. The sun, which holds the solar system together, would also be affected. Its gravity keeps the planets in their orbits and prevents them from flying away into outer space. If the Earth lost gravity for even 10 seconds, the sun would move away from its usual place in the sky and shift towards the horizon. It would seem as if the end of the world was happening before our eyes. In addition to these astronomical phenomena, the absence of gravity would lead to a number of serious problems. On Earth, cars would literally fly into the sky, crashing into each other and causing massive traffic jams in the air. Airplanes would lose altitude and fall to the ground. The ISS would move away from Earth, and its inhabitants would have to deal with the problem of zero gravity for an indefinite period of time. In short, the entire technological and industrial complex of human civilization would collapse within seconds. And yet, even after 10 seconds, the Earth would continue to exist. However, it would be virtually uninhabited. A significant part of the population would die. People who were outdoors would be torn to pieces by the wind and rain. Those who were inside buildings would suffer from oxygen starvation and die very slowly. Some people might try to hide in shelters, but even those structures designed to withstand nuclear attacks would not save people from the consequences of zero gravity. For example, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, located at an altitude of 600 meters and designed to withstand even a direct hit from a nuclear warhead, would not help in this case. The building would simply be blown apart by the wind, and its fragments would scatter across the country. As for animals, most of them would try to take cover and hide in burrows, tree hollows, or caves. Birds would fly up to an altitude of several tens of kilometers, higher than any plane flies. Fortunately, they would soon run out of air and fall to the ground. As for domesticated animals, they would suffer along with their owners. Pets would suffer from oxygen starvation, and wild animals would try to escape from human settlements. After the 10-second period when the Earth lost its gravitational pull, the planet would begin to gradually return to normal. But this process would not happen quickly. It would take millions of years for the Earth to regain its former state. The atmosphere would begin to descend, covering the planet and returning the familiar blue sky above our heads. Over time, water would also return to the Earth's surface. First, it would form clouds, and then it would rain. But this rain would not quench your thirst. It would be salty and undrinkable until the oceans filled with water. During this time, our planet would turn into a huge swamp. And when the Earth finally returned to its previous state, life on it would cease to exist. Microbes, bacteria, and viruses would die. Plants and animals, even microorganisms, would need millions of years to adapt to new conditions. But will humanity survive? Most likely not. Even if some people managed to hide from the consequences of zero gravity, they would still face a lot of difficulties. They would have to deal with the corpses of billions of people and animals, the total number of which would reach trillions. Moreover, there would be no specialists to carry out these kinds of work. After all, no one could have imagined such a turn of events and prepared for them in advance. In short, survivors would have to start their existence from scratch. They would need to figure out how to grow food, build a dwelling, and invent tools. It's possible that humanity would never reach its previous level of development. Scientists believe that even slight changes in gravitational force can have negative consequences for humans. For example, a reduction in gravity from 9.8 to 7.8 meters per second squared can cause adverse effects, such as cardiovascular diseases, muscle atrophy, and problems with blood circulation. In such conditions, a person would not survive more than 3 weeks. Even if we consider the opposite situation, where gravity increases, it's not good either. If gravity gets stronger by just 2%, it can lead to serious health issues for humans. Therefore, we should be grateful that the Earth is in stable motion around the Sun, and nothing threatens the existence of our planet and life on it. For now, it seems that scientists have discovered some anomalies in the gravitational field of the Earth, but they cannot explain them yet. Perhaps in the future, we will learn that gravity really can be changed artificially, but for now, we can only speculate about it. What do you think would happen to humanity if the Earth lost its gravitational force for even just 10 seconds? Would we be able to survive, or would we die along with our planet? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And that's all for today. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and see you soon.